What's up, guys, and welcome to another edition of Pro Wrestling Pulse on my partners Quad and Ryan. I am J-Man. On this edition of Pulse, going to give you our WWE Payback 2013 review, just getting off the air with the pay-per-view. As all Chicago shows go, it doesn't matter if it's shitty or not, good, great, whatever the hell it is. The atmosphere there always makes it for an entertaining show. That's what we got here. There's some good stuff here. There was some stuff that would be forgettable. Some interesting stuff that really happened in this card that could change into the future and what we're going to be looking at as far as the WWE product goes into the next couple months and even into tomorrow on Raw. It'd be really interesting to see how some of this stuff ends up falling out from Payback here tonight. We're going to run down this card for you. First matchup, we had the triple threat match for the Intercontinental title when champion Wade Barrett went up against The Miz and Curtis Axel.
Yeah, this was pretty hot. The crowd was pretty into this. Surprisingly, I thought maybe they were just into Paul Heyman being, Curtis Axel's manager. The crowd actually really dug Curtis Axel, and we've said this before. We're not hating on Curtis Axel because we don't think he's he's a good worker. I think he's actually a great worker. I think he can work really well. He has great form and a lot of wrestling ability, and he can really work. It's the name and just kind of finding himself as an actual character, like as a professional wrestler. Like, he can wrestle in the ring. He's got that ability. We kind of collaborated and made this joke that if you combined all three of the men in this triple threat, they pretty much create the ultimate prototype of what
New
you
age
look for.
Superstar, yeah.
What you look for in a wrestler: the height and the girth, I guess, of Wade Barrett. You got the talking and the personality of The Miz, and you got the just wrestling ability, the catch-can, real wrestling ability of Curtis Axel. And Curtis Axel, getting the victory here, getting the weird kind of situation where Miz had Wade Barrett in the figure four, and then Curtis Axel runs in, gets the pin. The crowd popped pretty hard. He won the Intercontinental title here. We had talked about this before. We thought, since Fandango's not in here, we thought, they were just going to throw the title on him. Perfect opportunity to throw the title on Curtis Axel. It was a pretty cool moment. A lot of people, it was on Father's Day, and, he won the Intercontinental title, and that's, Mr. Perfect was one of those guys who made that Intercontinental title prestigious and gave it a reason to be that workhorse title, and it's good to see that on Curtis Axel. Like I said, I was impressed, and hopefully they let him run with, a little bit here and put on some good quality matches. But overall, I thought this match was one of the better matches of the night, and It was quite entertaining, and the crowd was very into it, and it was pretty hot.
I was just sitting here for the last 2 minutes trying to not bust up fucking laughing while you're talking because I thought of the name. It's Wadeus Mizzle.
Wadeus Mizzle.
You just take Wade and the rest of Miz. Wadeus.
Yeah.
And then just
Wadeus
Mizzle. Just the rest of Axel.
Wadeus Mizzle.
Wadeus Mizzle.
I don't even know what.
That's our perfect new age superstar.
Wadeus Mizzle.
It's got to be a little bit better than just the great John Bryan.
The great John Bryan.
How over is he?
Pretty fucking.
I would say so.
You guys get a chance. Why don't you get on that WWE Creator Wrestler and you combine John Cena, Daniel Bryan, and the Great Khali, and you have arguably the greatest wrestler in the history of professional wrestling.
I mean, you got the height, you have the international flavor of a Great Khali, you have the amazing working ability of a Daniel Bryan, and just the amazing character and just the overall personality and the bigness of a John Cena.
Yeah, the epicness of a John Cena.
And the look of a John Cena. I mean, just put a 7-foot-tall John Cena body together with the working ability of a Daniel Bryan. Fuck yeah! Pretty fucking over.
Pretty fucking.
Boy.
That's pretty intense. And we already got the gimmick, the great John Bryan.
What does that sound?
Bryan. What does it sound like?
I mean, I just think
magician.
True. Yeah.
Magician gimmick.
Yeah, I would say so. He's a magician.
We're creating wrestlers, WWE.
Watch out.
Watch our show. We're creative geniuses.
Wadeus Mizzle. I'm waiting for that one. That'll be some good stuff.
Yep.
Next matchup, we had the Divas title line. One champion Caitlyn went up against AJ Lee. Going into this, obviously, you knew it was kind of could be looking at a transition here when it came to obviously AJ coming to this match, the stuff they've been doing as far as the story-wise with Caitlyn into the past, being friends, and then turning on everything and all that bullshit. It looked like an obviously transition period to having a new Divas champion, and that's exactly what we got here with AJ Lee. Actually had a lot of hints of either way. Could have had a retain here with Caitlyn doing the spear and then kind of looking at her and being like, I want to fucking, definitively beat you, and fucking threw her in the ground. She kicked out of that and went into that. What's she called? The Black Widow? The little,
They're calling it the Black
fucking
Widow, I think. Yeah.
Octopus fucking stretch hold that AJ's got going on there. Reversed out of that, went back into a spear or something like that, and then went back into that Black Widow, and AJ Lee making. Did she make her tap or just like fucking give up or whatever?
Yeah,
I
she
think
just tapped.
she did tap.
She just tapped out.
So AJ tapped out in there, and or AJ tapped out. AJ made Caitlyn tap out there. And AJ, the new Divas champion, stuck it in Quaddy's face a little bit there because got AJ in our little draft. Sorry, you guys don't know anything about that. You may in the long run. Brian couldn't make it, unfortunately, because of traffic. It's all right. He'll be there for SummerSlam. But you're gonna like jerk me off there? What the fuck? I was scared there for a second. AJ Lee, your new Divas champion, going along with the at the time current World Heavyweight Champion Dolph Ziggler. We'll get to that in a minute. But AJ Lee, your new Divas champion there. Nothing really special, obviously, just that kind of transition thing that they're looking for the Divas, division. Obviously, AJ is the most over diva in that company and has been for over a year now with all the kind of the crazy character shit they've been doing with her. So putting the Divas title on here makes a lot of sense. Obviously, moving into the future with what they're going to be doing with AJ Lee there. Next matchup, the United States title line win champion Shield member Dean Ambrose went up against Kane.
Going into this match, it was kind of interesting to see how Kane was going to work with Dean Ambrose, and with that whole Chicago crowd, you knew Dean Ambrose was going to get the pop that he deserved.
Yeah.
Back and forth match, really good stuff. Ending was kind of weird with the count out. Dean Ambrose DDT Kane right in front of the announce tables and want the quick count out. Kind of interesting to see if this is going to continue or they're just going to kind of move on with Dean Ambrose. But interesting match for a U.S. title match. But after this match, they did have an RVD promo that he's going to return at Money in the Bank in Philadelphia, which is crazy. So we'll see if he's in the Money in the Bank match or just appearance or whatever happens out of that.
Yeah, really interesting stuff there. Obviously, great to see Ambrose retain the championship there. And like you said, I believe we kind of lost track. I ended up writing down, but I think after that they ended up going into that RVD promo. And we were talking. There's obviously been a lot of talk of bringing RVD back in, doing a little run here. That obviously they could still squeeze a little bit more out of RVD. And obviously the crowd is marking like motherfuckers. We had RVD chants through the rest of the the night during kind of slow parts of matches. You kind of kept hearing that, and obviously. RVD was such that lovable character in WWE that you could obviously bring him back in and he'll be over as all get out. Just that the kids love him, the old school fans love him, the hardcore fans love him. So I mean, there's so many different dynamics of the RVD character that people can really still get attached to. And obviously WWE is going to capitalize on that and bringing him back at a perfect pay-per-view, which is a Money in the Bank, where he can really thrive, and he's always thrived in those kind of situations. So if he's in a Money in the Bank ladder match. Obviously, if he's thrust into that with a big return here, you could possibly look for him winning one of those Money in the Bank matches. We really thrust him straight into possible title contention out of that. But some really interesting stuff there.
Especially in Philadelphia, too.
Yeah, especially in Philadelphia, which is a perfect return place, obviously the home of ECW. So it's really interesting stuff there with the RVD return promo there. You didn't want to say? I didn't. I was transitioning. You were looking down.
It's unfortunate because I will not be able to make Money in the Bank.
That is true. Hopefully we don't get TNA RVD because we didn't give a fuck about him. I don't think we will because I think he doesn't really thrive unless he's in that kind of situation with all the love that he had in the past. Being in WWE and that character that was everybody fell in love with. So I mean, it's going to be great to see a return here of RVD at next month's Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Should be some interesting stuff there and good stuff to see going into the future. Next matchup. We had the World Heavyweight Championship on the line when champion Dolph Ziggler went up against Alberto Del Rio. This is some really interesting stuff that they're doing here. Completely different than I saw this going down. I thought this was going to be just put it in the bank, cash it in, perfect opportunity for just a straight-up Dolph Ziggler retain here of the World Championship. Just having AJ, win the Divas title, you're going to roll along with the thing of kind of like what they did with Edge and Lita, where you had, Lita, obviously the women's champion, Edge was, at that time, the WWE champion back in 2006. So obviously you have that kind of connection with it, and then you got the, the big guy with Biggie Langston kind of going there. So it looked like you could have just had a run with all the championships with that whole little, clique that the Dolph has going on there. But that's not what we got here. We had a lot of, obviously, the crowd is always going to be behind just whoever is the fucking smartest person to be behind. Chicago crowds don't go for, they go for all mostly heels, but they don't go for whoever they character-wise. They go for the best fucking thing out there. And the best fucking thing out there, whenever it's out there, whether it's CM Punk who's out there, whether it's Dolph Ziggler or Jericho, whatever the hell it's out there, and they're going to boo for whoever the fuck is shitty. Because, like I said, Chicago are just smart. And, of course, they love their heels. And, Dolph Ziggler is going to be over as a motherfucker in this match, and that's exactly what he was. Del Rio not really getting the, the total hatred of, a typical cheesy kind of face. But gradually throughout this match, we got some interesting stuff going on. We had Del Rio continue to go for, Dolph's head, obviously, with all the concussions that, talk has been going on. Obviously, the actual concussion that Dolph Ziggler suffered. think 6 or so weeks back or something like that, and sidelined him for that period of time, and now coming back here and having a final return match and finally seeing him back in the ring. We're so excited to see this. And Quaddy actually mentioned in this, he's like, I wonder if they're going to start a concussion kind of angle here where maybe they can have him gradually play towards that and have Dolph or Del Rio continue to attack that, Dolph's side of that character that's kind of been thrown into his thing with the concussion side of it. They had multiple head kicks. I don't know how many fucking head kicks Del Rio did in this match, but it really, they got it over, and I think they continued the head kicks, the outside head kick, the jump through head kick, and the super kick finally at the end that I think that Del Rio finally got the pin and won the world championship off of. And we were just sitting there like, what the hell is going on right now? We were first kind of thinking like, well, is Dolph's concussion still lingering? Is it something that's going to be a problem going into the future that they have to drop the title here because he still has some health issues and they don't want to, obviously they want to stray away from the concussion side of things. They don't want to continue, kind of pointing that out. Like, we're going to throw this guy who has concussion problems and have him be a world champion and all this kind of stuff. So whether it's WWE, kind of fading away from that, but then we saw Del Rio come back out and cut that promo and kind of like the cheesy, like trying to get on to the fans and stuff like this, or it could look a possible, Del Rio heel turn coming up here. And with what they were doing with Dolph, it sets up perfectly for that triumphant Shawn Michaels type, comeback as that big, babyface character, which I think would be perfect for a Dolph Ziggler because we've compared him to the character of a Shawn Michaels for so long now with the looks that he has and the ability and all this stuff that it fits towards that character so well. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how this goes in the future. But until then, Del Rio, your new world champion, and it'll be a lot of interesting stuff that should be going on into the future with Dolph Ziggler. And if they do go through with this kind of triumphant return, turn that they're going to end up doing here, like we were mentioning, and it's kind of ironic that ended up being here in Chicago. Obviously, the great, probably the greatest double flip turn, in wrestling history, which happened back at WrestleMania 13 in Chicago with Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Kind of some shades of that there that you could possibly see maybe going into the future. So if they end up flipping Dolph, end up flipping Del Rio, whatever it is, I'm extremely intrigued to see what is going to be happening here with the World Championship with Alberto Del Rio and with Dolph Ziggler going into the future.
Concussions are a big thing in pro sports now, just with everybody going crazy and dying from them. But whenever we started watching Del Rio go after Ziggler's head and Ziggler start woozing and back and forth, and then they had the medic come out and check him, and then Del Rio came in and kicked him right in the back of the head. You knew. I had a feeling Del Rio was going to win the title right after that because it seemed like Ziggler wasn't all there. It may just be the way he was playing off of his character, but with concussions in WWE, they don't want to mess around with that after all the injuries and major concussions they've had in the past. So, it'll be interesting to see what comes out of this.
Yeah, I loved how they did this. If it really is a concussion, for real thing, then it's
terrible.
It's terrible, yeah.
It's terrible.
But I mean, if it's a storyline thing where they're doing, which is exactly what it seems like. I loved how they did this. They did this whole where he wouldn't give up kind of thing, and he kept getting kicked in his head and just all these headshots, and he kept kicking out, and the crowd was like behind him, and you could see that gradual turn of every time Del Rio kicked Dolph on the head, and the crowd just slightly turned a little bit more, and they were just like booing him when they kept kicking him in the head, and people were just like they had the announcers being like, I have so much respect for Dolph Ziggler for trying to make it through this match and blah blah blah, and they were telling him he should have quit, and he took the kick and he lost the title and the final kick, and it makes a lot of sense. Hopefully they're building towards that face turn deal. I know a lot of people, even though he is a heel, want to be a Dolph Ziggler fan and making him a face, getting him on that boat with a lot of fans. I know when we went to Extreme Rules, we saw several kids and women with Dolph Ziggler shirts and
he can
signs.
be over as all get out as a face. That's for sure.
So
we always knew that.
But this match overall was an okay match, but the real story behind it is what they were doing with the build, with the kick, and then his not being able to stand in the concussion deal. So we'll see where that goes. But I definitely like what they're doing with it.
And something that we forgot to mention was how much the Chicago crowd really played to this match, and really I think played to WWE's idea of how to build this match. Because they knew exactly how Chicago was going to react. They were going to be heavily behind Dolph Ziggler, definitely not behind Del Rio because of how much they were behind Dolph Ziggler, and they used Chicago to their advantage to really build this story. And that's why I just love that crowd so much, because you could do so much with that. Not only mentioning of how it just creates an outstanding atmosphere, you could do stuff outside of creating that great atmosphere that actually helps your product and can continue feuds or do things, different stories, different characters, whatever you want to do. And they used that to their advantage here tonight in Chicago with this interesting stuff that happened in this World Championship match. And Alberto Del Rio, your new world champion, in that matchup there. And then we finally got to something that we have been waiting a very long time for, which is the much anticipated return of the one and only CM Punk, best in the world, going up against Chris Jericho in this matchup here in CM Punk's hometown. Before we get into the match, we need to mention everything outside of the match. We need to mention the fact that CM Punk, as of right now, has not changed his theme music. It's extremely important to me, even though it might not be important to some people. That is on the fast lane to becoming one of the greatest theme musics, if it already is, of all time, and how much it fits CM Punk's character. And as soon as I heard that entrance of the kind of scene, I was like, oh, thank God, because it was starting to scare me. Whether or not a change in character comes where he finally does change it, until then, let's pray to God that he fucking sticks to that. Again, CM Punk is so hip and current on, just fucking being on top of the shit that he's all about, and being with the Chicago Blackhawks, being in the Stanley Cup Finals right now with the Boston Bruins, rocking his Chicago Blackhawks gear that looked fucking disgusting, and having the exact same logos, but then throwing a little CM Punk touches in it, and having the kind of fist that overline the C in the Chicago Blackhawks logo, having the X's inside the fist is fucking so nasty. It's just so fucking great to have CM Punk back. You guys probably know I'd be fucking sitting here all day talking about that. And then we got into the match, and of course it was exactly what we expected, which was fucking tremendous. It's CM Punk and Chris Jericho. It's two of the greatest of all time in all of our eyes, getting in the ring and doing exactly what they do best, meshing perfectly well. Their styles mesh so perfectly. Their chemistry is outstanding anytime they get in the ring. And that's exactly what we got here. We had a little shades of CM Punk kind of losing some gas towards the middle of this match, and then finally finding his motor and really kind of like, all right, now it's back to just being, in ring shape. It literally took him like 5 minutes to fucking find that, and he was back there. Obviously, the crowd is fucking marking like motherfuckers. We obviously all predicted that to go, to be happening, and that's exactly what they did there. They were here for this match. This match, I believe, got over 20 minutes, didn't it?
Yeah, a little over.
So it's just great to see that they gave it the time that it was needed. And in my eyes, of what I wanted to get out of this match, I got everything out that I wanted to get out of this match. It was a tremendous match. We have CM Punk return. Don't really have anything screwy happening yet, but there was definitely shades of something possibly happening down the road. We had Heyman come up the steps when Punk was going for a GTS, I think, and he kind of got out of that. He's like, what the hell are you doing up on the steps, kind of thing. And then at the end, after the fucking amazing finish, I love the finish to that match, with the double GTS, the GTS, he fell into the corner, and Punk getting all pumped up and shit, and hitting the other GTS and getting the pin there. Having Heyman come in the ring, and you kind of hear Punk's, your mouth, say, like, I can do this myself, kind of thing. And you could kind of see, like, Heyman, like, just playing it off, like, oh, yeah, okay, whatever, Punk. So you can kind of see that maybe something down the road is going to be happening possibly there, whether it's a turn. Obviously, we talked about how fucking over CM Punk. There's people online, well, CM Punk's probably going to be pretty over in this matchup, even though he's a heel. No fucking shit. As we said, he's the most over fucking guy in, when it comes to a professional wrestler being in his hometown. So, great support there. We all thoroughly fucking enjoyed this, and we were on the edges of our seat during this entire match. It was great to see. Outstanding match, definitely the fucking match of the night, because there was some great stuff here. And CM Punk obviously getting the winner off that double GTS spot, and the best in the world has now returned in professional wrestling, is back to the prominence that it should be.
This was a good match coming into it. Very interesting to see how whole Jericho thing was going to play, if he was going to just try to act like a complete douche and be like, hey, I'm better than you, where have you been, type thing, running his mouth. But a little bit back and forth throughout the whole thing. We did find out halfway through Punk had a new t-shirt. And then just back and forth, and you could tell Punk's sister was in the front row, and Punk was like, you could tell he was feeling the crowd and it all pumped and going Punk crazy. But really good match. Glad to see Punk finally back. He did say Chicago in 7, so I'll hold that to him.
Definitely good match here. Not really much. I mean, you can really tell there's no ring rust. But he did get gasped a little bit, but it wasn't really a big deal. It wasn't super noticeable. I did feel like the match was. They took it at a pretty steady pace. They didn't really go super fast or anything, and they kind of kept it, at a moderate pace and formed a pretty well, calculated match. Like I said, both these guys are pretty good. I love Chris Jericho. I love how Chris Jericho he does whatever to just benefit everything. Yeah. Like, he doesn't even...
He's so unselfish when it comes to things.
He didn't care about winning. He didn't get. I could tell he didn't give a shit. He wanted to go out there and have a good match. He wanted to put on a show. He wanted to wrestle CM Punk. He wanted to have a good match with CM Punk. He's been out dicking around with Fandango.
Yeah.
And he's doing that whole situation. It's like Chris Jericho to lose to Fandango a bunch of times, and then lose to Shield members on SmackDown or whatever the fuck he's doing, and then hop right into going against the
and still look legitimate into that match.
Yeah, and still look like a main eventer and jump in there and have a match
Yeah.
with CM Punk and just be all right. And everyone's like, oh, he's not over. He's lost matches. It doesn't matter. It's like it's that whole concept.
He has the persona of being Chris Jericho.
Yeah, it's like whatever. He wakes up tomorrow and everyone's like, oh, Chris Jericho lost. Oh well. He's not any.
He has a reputation of being such a great wrestler. It doesn't matter what he does. It's like we don't care as long as he's in the fucking ring. That's right.
Great match here. Definitely, I give the match of the night, and it was fun to see Punk in his hometown and do the whole thing with the crowd, and everyone really enjoyed it. But good match, and definitely the match worth seeing on this show if you guys definitely watch it.
Absolutely, and obviously we'll be glued to what will be happening in the future for both CM Punk, Chris Jericho, and obviously whatever ends up happening with CM Punk and Paul Heyman will come out of that. Should be some extremely interesting stuff to be seen in the future there. Next matchup, we had the WWE Tag Titles line with champions, The Shield, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns went up against Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton.
Yeah, they ran through the paces with this. That saw a little match here, some spots and some little ditties. And not as good as some of the matches they've had on Raw. I feel like they gave them a little bit more time on Raw to kind of play with some stuff. But with the interesting thing, mostly with this was, Randy Orton and Dan Bryan just accidentally getting into it with each other. Dan Bryan hitting a dive on Randy Orton accident. And Randy Orton moving out of the way and shoving Dan Bryan into a spear. And, and it ends up with Seth Rollins, doing the blackout kick thing, whatever he does, and then him getting the pin on Dan Bryan. They're going to continue this weak link thing, and he's going to continue to go out there and just look like a complete monster, and then they're just going to have him just whoop everyone's ass, and then he's just going to keep losing, which seems like they're going to do. But I'd like to see him just build up that frustration so much where he just goes off and either turns heel. Even if he does turn heel, it doesn't matter because he's still going to be
over as fuck.
Super over. He was clearly the most over thing in this whole match, and going out there and just working and whooping ass. But the Shield winning here, retaining the titles, I didn't really see anything other than that coming out of it. The only thing I can really see out of this, other than Daniel Bryan moving on to a different level, doing something else, is maybe feuding with Randy Orton, seeing that maybe that Randy Orton heel turn gradually coming. I don't know what they're gonna do, but just another little solid match here with these guys right here.
It was good stuff. Yeah, it was some good stuff. Obviously, it wasn't to the point of the stuff that we've actually seen on weekly shows, Raws and SmackDowns, but it was some good stuff here, and it really continued what we, going in and kind of throughout the night, really thought was going to be happening, which was the transition of numerous things and numerous storylines and numerous characters that's going to be going on into the future, where we saw it here with obviously Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, stuff that's going to be happening in the future. We saw it obviously with AJ Lee winning the championship. We saw Curtis Axel win the championship. We saw, the RVD return promo, the Del Rio world title, Dolph situation, and obviously CM Punk's return. So a lot of stuff in this show is really going to be, kind of, turning the corner into what's going to be the direction going into the next couple months, and obviously heading into that big pay-per-view, in August, which is always the biggest pay-per-view of the summer, which is SummerSlam. Great to see, obviously, the Shield retain the championships in that tag match there. Next matchup, we had the 3 Stages of Hell match for the WWE Championship. The first match featuring a lumberjack match, second match being a stables match, and third match, if necessary, was going to be an ambulance match. We had John Cena versus Ryback. Ryan, would you please tell us your opinion on what you thought this match was going to produce tonight?
I thought it was going to be the best match on the show.
Could you please mention the match that you were going to kind of like it to in the past that we've seen?
Like it to? What do you mean?
Well, like it to also means kind of compare it to.
I thought they could have pulled, for those of you who know, the Umaga John Cena Last Man Standing match.
From Royal Rumble 2007.
Yeah, yes. I thought that they would like to go out here and prove that they deserve to be in the main event over CM Punk and Chris Jericho, which did not main event.
Yeah, being in CM Punk's
which we think they would do that. Oh, wow, they're going to give Cena Ryback this main event 3 Stages of Hell. Maybe they will go out here and produce a good match. And I can't say it wasn't good, and it wasn't bad either, but it was definitely not amazing.
Wasn't bad?
I didn't think it was bad. I really didn't think it was bad. I thought it was you're gonna shun. It was better than the last one that they had.
And as I said,
that match was fucking like negative 14 stars. Okay, I was thoroughly entertained, but this match by no means was an instant classic or a great thing or anything. But I want so badly for them to try to make this work, but it just never does. Clearly, I think this is the pinnacle of how good our John Cena Ryback match will get. And I mean,
let's hope we don't have to see it anymore.
no, absolutely not.
Ryback falling through the top of that makeshift piece of shit ambulance that they had. That
I
they
like that
cut
idea
in half,
of-
I guess, and sent to West Coast choppers to get done.
I like that idea of John Cena being that veteran, and when he first started, he had that type of gimmick like a Ryback and was just like a stone brick man, going there. And then just like have him like this guy who's like John Cena, and it's like, oh, young type John Cena robot guy against regular John Cena who's...
Because that sounds like a great idea.
I don't know. It's not really the match quality I was looking forward to. It's more about the like.
Story?
It's more like when you look at Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. You're just like it's like the what is it? The immovable.
The big ass trees facing each other. You were looking forward to big trees facing each other.
No, it's like one of those like just two guys that are just like.
Well, I think
They
it's
match
not gonna.
up.
It's just the whole thing is not going to work out if you can't even explain what it is. Because I
The
can't.
irremovable force. What is it called?
The immovable force meaning the unmovable.
We don't even.
I don't even. The unstoppable force meaning the immovable object.
Something like that.
That's what it is.
It's just one of those like you put these two like
Trees.
monster-ish looking
Trees.
dudes in the ring, and it's like nobody can get over on the other guy. But you know, Ryback pinned Cena clean, and it was just like 1, 2, 3, and everyone was like, all the lumberjacks were like,
Time to leave.
Time to
Cesaro grappled out of there.
he grappled. He's like, but no, and I never really thought. I was looking more towards the.
Are you done trying to explain how you're trying to get out of this a little bit
the
more?
epic feel of putting these guys in the ring and trying
That's
to like.
exactly what I feel. I feel epic whenever we get into a John Cena Ryback match.
Never mind.
Quaddy, do you want to talk about this and the fact that you get to keep your beard?
It was epic shit.
Quaddy gets to keep his beard.
I don't know what the fuck, if you hit your head on the way in,
He did.
or what happened.
Were you in the wreck that you were in traffic for?
No,
Are you a little concussed?
It's just like
Is that why you had the hat on?
Are you having post Paul London syndrome right now?
it's like putting Great Khali and Big Show in a match against each
It's
other.
like putting
It's just like two like just
so,
like.
are you trying to tell me you would look forward to Big Show and Great Khali getting in the
No,
match?
but I would look forward to that more than I would look forward to not looking forward to.
Can everybody out there just say, just Ryan, shut the fuck up and just stop trying to explain this, please?
Somebody will leave a comment and be like, I know what he's talking about.
I know what you're trying to talk about, but even if you wrote it down on paper, wrote a fucking synopsis on what you're trying to talk about, how could you tell me that's something you want to see?
It's like, okay, it's just like saying you want to see Goldberg versus like Brock Lesnar when it was WrestleMania. Yeah, it was shit, but like the idea of it just being like, oh, it's this epic like thing. That's what I get out of these guys getting in the ring together. It's just they don't have any chemistry and they can't do anything.
The point I'm trying to come back to is you were trying to say this match was going to be pretty quality. Comparable to John Cena and Umaga's match at Royal Rumble 2007, which was tremendous.
I thought it could have gotten there.
Let me finish.
Okay.
But we have already seen it at Extreme Rules live and in person. And it was fucking terrible.
John Cena
And
died.
every promo and segment that we have seen after that leading into this match made me want to go shove my dick into a fucking snowblower mower.
A fucking meat grinder.
A fucking meat grinder. I don't give a fuck.
Snowblower mower.
I couldn't think of anything there.
Okay, but okay. So, all right, I will not talk about this anymore. The point of I was just trying to get was that, but for whatever reason, okay, it didn't show up. I feel like sometimes I just like they should just try to produce something special, but they never do. At least with any of these guys.
John Cena died at Extreme Rules. How did he come back?
I don't know how. I really don't know how.
So.
Let's hope
Well,
Ryback
Cat-
can't come through falling through that ambulance.
Yeah, I called that.
You did. Quaddy sat there. He's like, I think he's going to go through the top of the ambulance. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like good. Yeah, and then he did it.
They
And
tore
then-
that ambulance apart.
And then it was over. Yeah, they ripped it apart like it was a fucking ambulance made out of Legos. Like they're
Bring it from the junkyard.
I'm gonna throw the door and the fucking light off and the side panel. Super. So John Cena obviously retaining the WWE Championship in that match there. And yeah, this will now wrap up our WWE Payback 2013 review. For my partners Quaddy and the delusional Ryan, I am J-Man, and thank you for watching another edition.
Mode.
He's in DZ mode. And thank you for watching another edition of Pro Wrestling Pulse, the Pulse, Professional Wrestling World.